Stream is up.
Can you hear the music?
I hear the music.
All right, bro. Let's see here. My mic is not muted. Look at that. Thought it was muted. Can you hear me? Let's see. Can you hear me? I can't hear you anymore. Let me think.
Here we go. How about now?
Oh, yeah, now it's good. All right. You can hear me. I can hear you. Oh, let's not make the same mistake and not switch over to the code this morning. Hopefully I'm using my MacBook mic today. I need some suggestions on a tiny mic I can keep in my bag that gives me quality other than like that Shure. I'm gonna do some research today. I need something like, something that's like, something I can fit in my bag. Nothing fancy, but anything better than what I got going on right now. Guess what Ali just made me, dude?
Oh, no way. Oh,
This is what you get, man, for not being
no.
here.
I live for that coffee.
Oh, this MacBook camera makes my skin look all red. Is my skin like, damn, must be getting dry out here in the cold weather. It's kind of cold over here. I look like Santa
Welcome
Claus. I got
everyone in the
red
comments.
cheeks. Man, when we're in Miami, I can filter that camera. I don't look so bad, bro. Man. And it's hot coffee ain't gonna make it any better. I'm gonna switch off this view right away.
Straight to the code. Straight to the code.
All right, what happened, baby?
I'm not just looking.
Oh, she's looking at my face. It looks red, right?
Well, you need moisturizer, but you refuse. So
She said I refuse to use moisturizer, so that's what I gotta deal with, man. I think it's the lighting in this space where I'm at right now. That's what I think. All right, the problem is every time I see Allie, I'm in such love, like the blood.
Love struck.
I'm love struck. That's it. That should be my new handle for this show. Love struck.
Love struck.
That's hilarious. All right, we got to get going. So, remember all the work we did? What is today? Tuesday. Remember the work we did last week, building out the new package and all the refactoring that went with that. I was thinking that I would love to do that again with the app and the client. And
Okay.
the reality is that what was bothering me when I looked at it is that both the app and the client had an interface for the storage. And that just feels wrong to me. I feel like the only thing that should be using storage is really the app, right? I mean, that's an app sort of layer concern. The client was supposed to be all about socket communication, right? And
Yes.
communication with the NATs and communication with the CAP. And so I don't know, like having storage there bothers me. It should be abstracted from that. Now, we do know that in the client, things happen that require us to do some things to the UI, do some things to storage, right? But for me, these are app concerns. They're not really client concerns. So what I want to do is try to break the client out into its own package and get a better understanding of why we had to build that interface and see if there's a way to remove that. And it may be with a different interface that the app layer has to implement for that behavior. It could be with those functions again. Like, I don't know, but I want to explore that because it's really bothering me. And I know we're trying to get to the non-stuff and we're close, but it just doesn't smell right. Having two separate packages, taking in a real production level app, that's never happened to me. Now, this is client stuff too. The client stuff throws wrenches everywhere. I hate client work, right? And this is where we're at. We're in client work. Like the back end is always simpler for me. So I just want to explore that and see sort of where that goes, at least for 20 minutes or so. I'm sort of curious. So I'm switching over to the code side. All right. So I didn't forget to do that now, did I? And let me know if that's big enough. Again, it's hard for me. I got a big TV in front of me. I should take a picture of what I'm doing here. You won't believe it.
Looks good to me.
Looks good. All right. So front end, sorry. We're doing client work. So I would really like to rip client into its own sort of package here. because then even at that point, right, we had this sort of app layer, which is fine. I don't mind the app package. I put the storage layer inside of app because I tend to do that when it comes to business and things like that. But we could even move that out at some point. But for me, we called this thing the client. See, that's now a bummer because I said we're building front ends. What front end are we building? The client. So we end up with a client.go, right? But I want a package called client now as well. So maybe for now, I'll put the client package inside of app. Just so we don't have a client feels bad. And I'm gonna, this is all gonna break again, right? But I'm gonna move that in here and call this client. And I wanna see what breaks in this file. Like this will give us clues into why, how coupled we are with the app stuff. Just all these. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, I turn a lot of my editor stuff off. Kevin knows that. And I think he's saying my mic is much louder. I don't know how to lower my mic. Do you? Oh, I can I'm using the MacBook mic, right? So if I go to sound and I go to input volume, how about now? Does that, maybe that doesn't even change anything. Input
No,
volume.
it was my mic. It was my mic.
You had to lower your mic?
I put it a little, yeah, I put it a little further away.
All right, so maybe that will work. Because there's nothing more annoying than you watching a show, especially like a podcast, where one person's mic's louder than the other because now you can't hear. You got to make a choice, like who are you going to listen to? Okay, so I wanted to see what breaks. There's only 3 things that sort of break here. And I feel like it's all related to, all right, one is related to this user type, right? And that had to do with this interface, which means that some other stuff's going to break if we get rid of that. Some stuff has to do with this format messaging, but like this go routine, like this is, yeah. So this is the part that's like worrisome for me because we had to create a go routine that's reading messages and doing what it does, right? But this is sort of leaking in some sense more than what we should be doing because in this case, right, we're leaking concerns here. This should be something that's sort of format message. I don't know. Like, so all this is bothering me. Okay, this comes in, message comes in, we do some database stuff, we format a message, and then we insert it, and then we write to the UI. Right? So
yeah,
my brain keeps saying that this client package should only be concerned with sort of these 2 things. And ideally should be calling something else to do all of these things, which really is some app layer functionality. Because if we wanted to build a different sort of front end to this, now again, we're in Go, and maybe this doesn't make sense because it would be more like back end to front end, but all of this is very specific to the client app that we're building, isn't it? But then again, maybe because of the way this is a client, it's a Go client, you know, this client, this communication and the front end right now are like this, right? If you see me, that my fingers are sort of tangled. Maybe there's just no way around it related to sort of what we're building. Maybe it doesn't make sense to separate the client stuff because this isn't a package that's reusable in any sense of the word. It's only really usable here, right? So the question is, do we want to make this reusable to a point where we would be building something else? And maybe the answer to that is no, by any stretch of the, right? This isn't something that's, let's say, foundational by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe what we've got right now, because we're building a client application, there is a mixing of concerns related to what you do on the UI, what you do in communication. And we've separated this out at a file level. And we've also, at some level, separated out some of the UI components through these functions, right? Where we've asked that to be sort of passed in. So we got the UI screen write. Where is this used? UI update. I don't see it being passed in. Are we even using it? We are using it right here. Oh, on the handshake, we asked for it. So now what I'm thinking, go to the handshake. Update contract. What is update contract to? Given a, oh, update the contact information in, whoa. Okay, this is like storage stuff again, isn't it? I want to see where that code is called again in main. I want to see that one more time here. So new app, new DB file, the work we did yesterday. And then we use the app update contract a new app update contract function, which matched that signature. And yeah, updated it.
That's adding it to the UI. Yep.
Yeah, but that was confused. Well, maybe it's not confusing. I just didn't read this right because I called it UI update contact, didn't I? Okay. So here's the thing to me. We gotta make a decision right now. If we're gonna keep app go and client go in the same package, okay? We're gonna keep it in the same package. Then this work that I did is kind of overkill. Because I had started trying to separate the idea of a client communication to the app that's it's being used. And
gotcha. Okay.
Right. But if we're not going to do that, if we're saying now that at least for this project here, there's nothing reusable really in client. We're never going to build another Go client. If I build one in JavaScript, I can't use any of that code. This isn't sort of back-end stuff, right?
Yeah, it's very specific.
It's really specific. So we've done a little bit here to say that the client work is somewhat detached from the app. We've done it through these two functions, right? We've done it through, from a storage perspective, through this. I'm just wondering if this now is adding any sort of value. In other words, if I come back here for a second, we constructed an app. Oh no, we get an ID. We construct our storage. We get a client. But you see, and I think this is right? The app consumes the client. The app consumes the client, which is good. And then we said that this client does this. So this is what I'm thinking. If we're not going to completely separate the client from the app side, and I think we're close, minus the type system here, right? This is sharing a type across these two boundaries. Because again, app is going to have to import client if we do this. Client needed this. Client, this was interface driven, right? That's interface driven. Interface driven. Interface driven. Format message. Okay, whatever. I could put that into the client. That's not a big deal. And then UI write, that was function. The thing that's hurting us the most, again, is the double interface. That's what's killing me. And what started this damn conversation, right? The double interface where you needed storage and you needed storage, and it feels disconnected to me. But then we've got this. So there's sort of smells again where I can't disconnect these two completely. It's a bummer. Now, look, I could easily get rid of these two functions if I wanted to. How could I do that? I don't know if it makes sense. Again, I'm telling you where my brain is like just hurting here, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is in the same package, right? Assuming app and client are sort of in the same package, right? Then,
Yep.
I could do something like this. This client could have associated with it an app. Now, I can't pass it in from a chicken and the egg problem. And what I'm about to do, I don't like at any level. But I just want to play with it for a second. None of this feels right to me, by the way. Okay? None of this feels right to me. None of it. But assuming I could do this because we're in the same package. All right? I don't need this. So just imagine this for a second. If I did something like this, okay, where I did a set app, then what would that mean at some level? It means this goes away because I can access what I need from the app directly now, assuming I do that before I call handshake, right?
Got it. Okay.
Now, here's a problem. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I have app, right? I have app. So play this out for a second. Sometimes I just like to play things out. So I could do c.app. Oh, now what function did we pass? So that was the question. Write text, right? Write text. Could do that. c.app. Write text. And then this is c.app.update contact. And we do it again. So, by doing this, if I'm going to keep this code in the same package, there's no more confusion on what we're doing here, right? You see the word app here. You see it, right? Update the app. Update the app contact. Update all of that. And all this can go away, right? The thing that sucks is at this level here, what you have to do is client dot set the app. You have to do that because you can't have, there's no way around it, right? It's a chicken and the egg problem. I got to construct the client before I construct the app. The app wants the client and the client wants the app because they're sort of intertwined. So we have no choice here. Again, that's usually a smell. It would definitely be a smell in some back-end code if I saw that. But sometimes, like, I'm trying to see what's going red here and I can't see it. So you tell me what's going on here. c.app.write text. Okay. And so I feel like if they're going to stay together, okay, if they're going to stay together, then each having access to the other, which is possible in this case because they're together, like
that would kind of make sense. Yeah.
You see how this code feels better now? Because I'm not guessing what's going on. I've really coupled it. Like, we're coupled. That's it. And that's fine. That's what we've chosen. That these two things are so coupled because there's things that happen at the client level that require app level changes and vice versa, that this to me just feels better seeing the word app here. And the extra level of abstraction wasn't adding any value to our lives. They were going to
Yeah,
stay in the same package anyway.
at least here we're clear about what we're doing. We're clear that they're intertwined.
Yeah, we're clear, very clear that these two things are intertwined, right? Because even here on the app side, you know, where we've got a client, what are we using the client for? That's what I want to see. Here. So when you hit that send button, right, we've got to do a client send, right? There's something that has to happen again. Now, again, the app could accept a function, right, that takes these two pieces of information and then performs the send, couldn't it? And in fact, maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe I was trying to make the app side the say owner of everything here. But look, the only place client is used. Okay? If I get rid of client for a second. I don't know what I just did, but oh, here. If I get rid of client for a second, what goes red? I don't care about that. Boom. The only
Send.
reason we needed client was for what?
Send.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I can get some of the smell out. What does send look like? It's a function that does this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try something here. Send func. Let's say I did this for a second. Defined a function called send that, given this and given that, return an error, right? And then on new, give me a send. And here, give me a send. And at the end of this, we save send. Right? And now here, where is that call to send? Ah.
Right there. Yep.
That's super interesting because now what we just did is decouple. I don't need a client anymore. See, let's see. I don't need the client anymore. Oh, dude, I don't need the client anymore, right?
Because we were only using that one send function
So
in the app.
So watch this then. If I create a new, let's create a new folder here called UI. Okay?
Yep.
And I move app into UI. We call this UI. I'm just going to move this here for a second. I call this UI. Okay. So now this is all UI. Now, this user type is going to be the death of us, but the UI needs to be able to do these things, right?
Yep. It needs to.
It needs to do that. And with decoupling this, the idea is that client, which I would want to turn into app, by the way, okay, will need to import. No, they can have an interface around that too. So just like app right? Our thing here was leveraging an interface to access storage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do the same thing. I'm not going to create this crazy sort of interface here. I don't think I want to create a, I want this to be an API that client needs and uses. But the idea also is that it needs access to storage. So I'm thinking about imports right now, Kevin. I'm thinking that
Okay.
app will need to import UI in order to do what it needs to do from a UI perspective.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking about right now. That app at this point would import UI to do its thing. But what's failing me, everything would have been great, but we come back to this sort of type situation. Because somebody
And
has to
why
own this type.
is okay?
So look, maybe just to solve this problem right now, okay? Just to solve this problem right now, because it's hard for my brain to do it all at one time, and this happens, okay? So, no, give me a folder. Let's do this for a second. I don't really want to keep it here, but
Okay.
what if I did this?
All right.
Just to get me through a little bit of this, the pain I have in my brain for a minute. Okay? I'm gonna move user here. I'm gonna create a package which represents this type system, which is just a user for a second. Now,
Got it.
by doing that, then what I'm saying is that I'm disconnecting the type. Now, I don't believe in having a package of types, but I don't have a problem when you have a type that is sort of universal to the project existing in its own project. Now, just to show you an example of that real quick, if we go into the service project and we go under business, you'll see a types folder here.
Yep.
And this is a set of types that are reused across different business domains. They're not specific to
Got
one
it.
business domain. And these are types that are giving us data shapes related to like being able to make sure, and we've had this conversation, right? A name shouldn't be a string because a string can be anything. A name should have shape. And so these
Yes.
unique packages represent a single reusable type in the system, right? This is fine for me. If all these types were in a single package, we'd have a big problem, right? This gives us
Got it.
enough
Okay.
flexibility where if the type system has to change, it's at a package level. It's at a much smaller unit of sort of code.
So it's
So,
almost like foundational types as a way to
say,
kind of think
but I
about
put
it.
them under business because they're more project oriented, right? They're types that are
Got it.
being reused by this project and this project only. Something foundational would be a type that could be used by everything. So the mail package has foundational types because, right, you deal with emails and stuff, right? That would be something that's
Yeah.
foundational, right? Like every package has a set of types for the data that's going in and out. But this is purely a type. This is a money type, right? Whatever that means, right? Whatever that shape actually is. So what I'm doing here isn't setting any sort of precedent. This idea of having, right, types that are going to be reusable, say, related to this particular project, as long as it's not a package of like 20 types together. This is one type, and it follows a very specific pattern when we need it. Right now, this is all we need. Okay, but imagine that, because now what happens here, let me do this for a second, right? this is going to use the user type from the user package. Fine. Oh, here's another problem now. Not problem, but oh no, that's uppercase. So, oh, we haven't changed everything yet, have we? Oh yeah, we have. So db.context returns a user.user, right? This is my user.user. It has something called messages. So sometimes when I see that and it's not obvious to me, I just reload. Okay. Now, my guess is, yep. See what happened?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I see.
yeah, all right. And that happens, man. Like, that's going to happen. So,
The usual suspect.
yeah, if I restart it and it doesn't work after that, the next thing is look at the import, and that's usually your next sort of thing here. Okay. User.user is a, oh yeah, so what are we doing here? Oh no, that's right. Did I do something else wrong here when I did this? Lowercase user.user. Did I have a variable name user? No, I don't have a variable name user. Oh, I do here, don't I?
User. Oh,
Yeah. That's usually the next problem sometimes. So I don't mind using user for the variable name, but this is sometimes what happens to you, right? You get.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, because now you're using a variable name after the name of the package, and it happens. But you see now, by having the type user, okay, those problems just went away. And now if I come in here, once again, it's right. It's making a mistake because it's using the standard library as a first choice. But if I do this, then this problem goes away. And right now I don't want to deal with that problem. So that's fine. So this is our UI now, right? Our UI is completely decoupled from everything but type user, which is fair, right? We've created a project level type for this. And it now has its sort of app storage interface the way it had it. Okay, get rid of that. And now we have this. So if I come back to app for a second now, if we look at this for a second, what is the sort of behavior that we needed from this? See, the app has the run function here, doesn't it? Which we were using here to hold the thing together, which is fine. All right. But if I come back to app for a second, I decided to call this app now, right? App has formats, app has the ID stuff, that's fine. I wonder if, right? Instead of calling it client now, UI, this is a UI, isn't it? And this is really UI. What did we call this? We changed this? No, we kept it app, didn't we?
Yep.
So I'm going to call that now UI, right? This is your UI. Now, this is what's going to suck because if we want to keep this code properly clean, we're going to do that.
Button handler up there, 138.
All right. So we still have our run. And oh, that sucks. I wish there was a way of like unselecting that with that D command. I've never found it. Yeah. All right. So we have run, we've got button handler. That's when the button is selected, right? We've
Yep.
got the write text, which is for that. And we've got the update contact. Okay. So there's two ways we can do this. We could build an interface, another interface around button handler, write text, and sort of update contact related to the app itself, because those are the things that the app sort of needs. Or we could just couple this a little bit harder and let's see. I got to see a little bit more before I know what I want to do here. So now this is not set up, it's set UI, right? And we might not even need this set anymore. We might be able to, like if I did this for a second, because there's no more import between the two, right? I've decoupled it enough where we could just do that, which is what I was going after. So now that you have the UI here at construction, and we know this is a user.user, user.user, we know that you're going to pick the wrong user. Oh, we created a user ourselves, didn't we? But it is unexported, so we could do that. That's fine. It is unexported. And now that I've got the UI there,
See the UI. Oh.
it's interesting, right? So now I ask for the UI. But now in the construction of UI new, let's see what happens here. Let's see what everything's complaining about now. So this app now isn't, we called it client, right? And I'll change that in a second. Well, let's just call this app just for now. And we'll change all that in a second here. But if I do app, new app, it now wants a UI, right? The UI has a new. So if we come up here now and say UI new, it needs storage. Well, we've got storage, don't we? And it needs a function that knows how to send. You see now, see where we're back to? Now I'm in a chicken and the egg thing again, because the app is the only one that knows how to send, right? This is so hard, dude. This is so hard because I'm trying to find a way to decouple the UI stuff from the communication client stuff. And then we're back to this sort of one thing that happens in the UI that when you press the button, you have to do a send, right?
Yes.
And so we almost need I think we're close, man. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to take this. Take this. Take you out of here. So set the send handler, right? So now what we can do is this. We create the UI, okay? There it is. Give me a new UI. Now we create the new app. It takes a UI. Okay, we defer that. And then from here, now we can do UI dot set the send handler, which comes from this client, which we're going to rename, called send. Now, I don't know if that's bad because this is sort of, it's like I need handlers, right? And ideally I'm saying to myself, let's do it all on new, but I just can't do it on new. And I don't think it has to be. I think this idea of set the send handler, set some other handler, right? Set sort of works pretty well here, doesn't it? So give me
Yep.
the UI. Now, here's the other thing though. I don't want to call this client anymore. Now I want to call this app. Okay. This is the app now. And if that's the app, I'll fix those receivers in a second, right? If that's the app, then this returns an app. That returns an app, that returns an app, and then, oh, but run is at the UI level, isn't it? Yeah. Now maybe we don't want that. Oh, run the UI or run the app. I would much rather run at the app level, right? So
Yeah.
we could do a run here. I could essentially do this, but call the UI, couldn't I? So here's the idea. Who says that there isn't other things we might not need to do? Right? One day.
Okay.
Right? I gotta keep this exported on the UI side because we need it. But who says that there isn't other things we might need to do for run one day, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And
I see
so
that.
if we look at this for a minute, now what we've done is we've separated the different storage mechanics. We now have a UI that accepts some storage mechanics. I still want to talk about that. We can construct an app and close it, set handlers. They just so happen that we need them from the app side because that's what we're doing. We perform the handshake and then we run. Now, people are talking a little bit. I'm going to just pause my brain for a second because there's still more I want to do here. But if you enable match whole word and find things, oh yeah, no. I like to move slowly. Mohammed, op command W. What are you talking about? I don't know what op command W does, but maybe that works with D or something too. Like, what do you say? Opti? Huh. No, that did bad things. I'm going to have to practice that later. Anyway, user.user looks strange. Better option is... So I'm going to disagree with you, Andre. The Go idiom is to have the type named after the package in these cases. So go anywhere in the standard library, Andre, and you'll see context.context, flag.flag. Like, so domain.user for me is not really Go idiomatic in that case. But go search the standard library. I can show you an example after example of sort of this idiom. And so I follow this. Now, the idiom I'm definitely also following is that your data takes on the name of the noun, right? And the type represents that data. So I would not do domain.user there. User.user is much more, for me, Go idiomatic And you see it all over the standard line. Context is usually my first go-to to sort of show that. Can we just pass a send function to the button handler? So again, Mohammed, we're having sort of chicken and the egg problems. And I'm really trying to sort of decouple these things. And I think we've gotten there for the most part now, because we have our storage system. We've got our sort of app layer types, which is just user. We needed that in a few places. We've got our UI components, right? This is the construction of the UI. It's the button handler. Now, who's using button handler here? That's just used in the UI, isn't it? So why is that
UI button
exported,
handler.
right? Like, why is that exported? That didn't need to be exported, did it?
Nope.
So that was sort of confusing too, because we made it sound like it was needed outside the scope of. Now I do the same thing here. Now we can see that app
We are,
needs it,
yeah.
right? We knew that. So let me take this here. We knew that. That was one of the, and I would say that it's going to go red again, sort of here, because that's what we needed for, right? That's what app was using from the UI. So this didn't need to be exported, did it? Kind of put it out there. It was just, so at the end of the day, it's all about write text and update contact, isn't it? I mean, that's what the app layer is essentially using, isn't it? From the UI. These two things. It's also using run, isn't it? So now
Yeah.
we could do the following if we wanted to, right? We could come in here now and say, we don't need set handler anymore, do we?
Nope.
Oh no, we do need set handler. So I'm usually not a fan of what I'm about to show you here, but if we truly now wanted to sort of decouple everything that was needed, right? We could define another interface now. Now we know what we need in terms of interface. We need these behaviors here. I think we also need
handle the send, write the text,
and we need run,
update.
right? So if we did it this way, in fact, yeah, I did it the other way. I like to keep things in the same order, right? So if I did this now, all right, I might put these interfaces at the top. All right. And okay, so now we're back to that problem here, but we know what a send looks like, right?
Yep.
All right. So if I said this, I said, I need something related to storage. I'm just going to call it storage now. Okay. And I need something related to UI. Okay. Then in this particular case, let's just put this up here.
So now we're going to use the interface, the UI interface. Okay.
Yeah. Now I say, okay, give me a concrete implementation that provides these behaviors, right? Give me a concrete implementation that provides this behavior. And that's what we're going to use. And so now when we do new app, I think I asked for storage first now. we asked for storage, we asked for UI. Now, it's saying that we didn't implement the interface, right? Cannot use that as app UI value in app UI does not implement, right? It doesn't implement set handler. Now, that's fine. And that's because in this case here, let's go back here. It says it's not implementing this function here, right? Let's go back to the UI for a second. Oh, what are you complaining about here? What did we break here? That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It says now to declared and not used, but we're using it right here. So all right, hold on a second though. What's good is this went away. So let's just come back here for a second. So now it's absolutely saying that we've got a storage implementation. We've got a UI implementation, right? Got a storage implementation. I got a UI implementation. Now we can construct an app. We can set our handlers. Now, I'd argue maybe this set handler doesn't have to be part of the interface. We're not using it. We're not using it. We're using it through the concrete type here. We're not using it within the body of this code here. So
Got it.
This is all we need from the behavior. I always told you, I just reload the window when something doesn't feel right. So I don't know why this is happening. So I'm going to call this tour. I really don't know why this is happening. Wow. Oh, we have an interface issue maybe. No, this is list. UI. Oh, no, UI is our concrete type here. This is UI. Oh, okay, I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong. Let me put back the send type for a second. I know what's wrong. Where am I here? I'm in UI. Wow, you're not going backwards, are you? Huh. Fine. Whatever you want, man. Send was a type. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on anymore. I had a type named send here before, remember?
Yeah.
And this was a function type. And this function type was used with the set handler. I sort of did that here. So I need a function that does this. That's what was causing all the pain down here. So that's fine. So
got it.
do that. Okay, that's part of the UI now. So now in main, this app layer send function does implement that signature, doesn't it? So we're good there. And now app essentially is completely decoupled now from what it needs from storage and what it needs from UI. Now, I don't even know if it needs, yeah, it does need the run because it's going to run the UI for us here, isn't it? Yeah. So that's pretty cool because now at least what we've done is that our app, right, So now we can do the following too. I'm going to create a new folder here just to make it a little easier. I know you're. I'm going to move these folders out for a second, or these packages out. All right. Now we just have import issues. That's easy. Okay. Okay. So look at the packages that we now have. Hold on. Just to make it easier to look at, right? We've got our app itself. We've got our storage. Right now we've got one type of storage, which is DB file. We've got our different application layer types like user. And then we've got our UI components here. And if we go back and look at main, now we have to get an app ID. We construct the storage that we wanted to use. We construct the UI that we want to use, right? Now we can have any UI we want. Then we construct our app. The app package now is really, we're going to fix all the C-app stuff here. The app now is really focused on the app itself, which is all that client connectivity, all the messaging that's going on, right?
Yeah. There was a C up there.
Yeah, there was. I missed it. There. I know I'm doing it slowly. This is just the way I work because it gives me another opportunity to read the code that's like broken. You know, is there anything else that I should be sort of worried about? Oh, that felt pretty good. Oh, that feels pretty good. So we've needed essentially two interfaces to detach ourselves, right? Detach the app from the UI that we plan to use and the storage we plan to use. We now have the ability to rip apart. See, the code in the app can't change. That's our communication to the cap. That's our communicate, right? Like that part doesn't change. What changes is these sorts of things related to the UI, these sorts of things related to storage, right? Now, if I go back to the UI still has an interface it needed for storage as well, because we do have the UI also interact with the storage system. But now I feel better about this sort of thing. Now I feel much better because if we were to build another UI, it would also need access to storage. The app would need access to storage and sort of the UI components. Right? Query contract by ID. That's happening right here at the beginning. Let's see where this is being used. Okay, so that's being used anytime we change something in the list, right? That way we can update all the messages. So gotta read the database for that, right? There's no way around it. My account is used. Oh, so I think we could get rid of this one. My account is used during new, isn't it? So, right? It's used right at the beginning.
Yep.
So, we could argue that we could do that.
We could just do that.
Right?
Yep.
That could go away. And in this case, isn't ID anyway the account? Yeah,
It should. Yeah.
yeah, my account ID. Might as well, from a readability standpoint, do that, right?
Yep.
So that's cool, right? We just got rid of one more function you didn't need. And then contacts gets called again. Everything is when we're changing that sort of list view there. Actually, no, look. That happens outside of it. That's the initial contact list. So we could also argue we don't need this here either, as long as we pass it in. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I went too far. So now, look, dude. You don't see these things until you start like looking for them, right? So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
basically now, the only thing we needed from, call this storage. The only thing we needed from storage was our ability to query a contact by ID. That's the only thing that we need, right? It's one
Yep.
function. It's one function. So now here's a new question. Okay. Here's a new question. Set the handler. I want to look at the set again. We use the set UI here because we need an app to do that. So here's the question. Do I need an entire interface for this now? In other words, we're only using this one sort of behavior, but we are using it from storage, right?
Yes.
So now it gets
We are.
interesting around, do we just ask for a function, right? Like we did with send in essence. We defined this because we have the set
Yeah.
handler, right? But I could argue then that this, why is this any different than this other than the fact that we have this immediately, right? As opposed to not. So what I'm wondering is, couldn't we do the following? For consistency, I wonder if we can't do the following.
Why F for function?
Yeah, just to
Okay.
oh, now I need a
Up above to 123.
yeah. What if I just call this set query handler for now? So just to keep a little bit more of a consistency, maybe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Ooh, ooh. Okay. So now there is a problem. No, there isn't a problem. Let me think. We're going to be setting this to, oh, where am I? Oh, UI. All right, I do have a scoping issue now. I don't have this. I only have this at the UI level. And we haven't constructed the UI yet. I really don't want to. So I would have to do something bad to make that work. All right, assuming I want to do that, I just want to see what this would look like, because if I did that, then what this would look like essentially is set a query handler, which would be db dot, would be like
Query
that.
contact, right? Okay.
Now the nice thing about this is that at least at initialization, we know exactly the two things that were needed here.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I just hate having the interface for the one behavior that, I've never liked the fact that they both needed the DB like that. Not that that's changing at any level. But again, yeah, I still have a chicken and the egg problem there. But the question is, when we construct the UI, I could just give it my account and the current list of contacts, right? This is very specific about what it needs at construction. I could have just passed a DB and it could go get its own thing. And now you're asking for all this behavior, but maybe different. In other words, we're not locking the DB in exactly, we just need these two things. I need a list of the initial list of users and I need your ID. That's what I need. And then at some point, I need a function that knows how to query a user by ID. That's sort of what I need here. I'm making that very specific. New app needs a bunch of things from the database, right?
Yeah.
We know that app needs, we need to be able to query, insert.
Insert.
This feels very much like a proper use of an interface. This feels like a proper use of an interface. This feels better to me from a UI, because what we're really doing is setting handlers, because events are happening sort of in the UI that we have to take care of. So, right? So when, I'm going to fix that up there, but when this event occurs, right, that's when we need to sort of query and all that. Now, I hate doing this. It would fix the problem. This is usually a smell to me. but this is a smell to me usually. I don't like doing partial construction, right? But if I
Yeah.
construct the UI, then I can use it to execute that query, right? This, however,
Okay.
okay, this, however, now sort of needs to change because now all of this would be, and this is like, this is what these client apps do to me all the time. So now I have to, and trust me, this is like making me nauseous, but I've got closure issues, right, that I got to deal with here.
Yes.
So that's one option there. The other option, it's safer if we do that, right? So, what was the button supposed to be? Oops, button. So that's one option. Now what that does is it, UI button handler is used here. See, we're closing over that, aren't we? Button. I'm wondering if I can move this down is what I'm looking at right now. But I
Gotcha.
can't
Okay.
because I'm using it here, right? So why can't we pass to the new because it's inside the set change function? I'm trying to make sure the API has symmetry and that it has consistency, right? So though I hate this beyond belief, if I go back to main, we constructed some storage. The UI says, the UI could take storage and we could expand this interface, but I could get rid of the interface and just ask for two functions. I already have to ask for a function. See, that's what's killing me, right? I already have a precedent that the AI has handlers that it needs. It has that send, and maybe we call this query user, right? It already has this sort of mechanic already built into it. And so I feel like if we use an interface, I'm sort of establishing two mechanics as opposed to just keeping the one mechanic that we have already. Whatever you're typing, Karen, I can hear that. So I feel like from a UI perspective, we're already dealing with setting a handler for something. So let's keep that sort of going, right? These are our different handlers. I can even just say to make that a little handler, right? Our send handler, our query user handler. All right. And so what I like about that is I don't particularly care where it's coming from, but from a UI perspective, we set these event handlers. We're not hiding anything there. When it comes to the app itself, we know that we've got some storage things that we've got to do. We know we've got to be able to query a contact by ID, insert a contact, and insert a message. Right? Now, I'm wondering if this shouldn't be contact, right? Because we're using the word contact on the other side, aren't we?
Yeah.
Set query contact, right? I'm just saying, like, for consistency in language, because we asked for this function already on the other side with the interface. We said query contact. So set the query contact handler. I need the one thing. I mean, all this code should still work. But at least what we've done now is defined sort of behavior at a function level where we're setting these functions. At the app level, we've defined interfaces because we need sort of larger groups of behavior.
We need a more than one set of behavior.
In this case. Now, I may have kept the interface here if we didn't have this already.
Got it. So this is mainly to match.
I think there's value in matching how this API works, right? When you need outside behavior, we're asking you to set, right, to call these sets. And we're doing it with a set because we don't assume you have this already prior to like sort of constructions. So for consistency in the API design, you know, I'm going to go with this. And then you have to know, but we know right away because it would blow up pretty quickly, that you have to set these sort of handlers. But when it comes to the app, we know we need larger storage. Like this is we just need this for querying at the end of the day, right? Now I know exactly right here. From a UI, you need to be able to send a message and you need to be able to query. Now, we could hide the query behind the app as well because it already has it, but I feel like there's no value in that. So the only other thing I want to look at, now that we have a storage, we're happy with that. We've got our type. I'm happy with that. We've got our UI. Our UI is also independent of everything. This is this was the biggest issue for us, right? Because app is going to be importing. It's all import issues, right? So
yes.
Now, wait a second here. App is not importing UI anymore. App is not importing storage. However, I'm going back to this type for a second, right? The storage system needs this type. The UI needs this type. And the app is now disconnected. This might work. Watch this for a second. This gets interesting now. What if I move this back? Okay.
Okay.
Some things are going to break. That's fine. Let's say I move this back. Okay. And I say, which is really what I wanted from the beginning, the app layer owns this type. Now, that would mean that the storage implementation can get this from app. Get this from
okay.
That's kind of cool. That's what I wanted. The UI can now get this from app. And we can get rid of this. Now I feel really good because all these packages that we were writing were here to support app. Just like in service, all these things are there to support business. All these things here are there, exist to support app. And now what we've been able to do is let app own that common type But it's because of these interfaces, because of the functions, that we're going to get away with it, because now we've got proper decoupling. Okay, we got,
Got it.
if you
Okay.
notice, as a stopgap, I had to create that type to get it out of my life,
Hmm.
to then sort of come
Exactly.
back in. But this is what I wanted the whole time, is I wanted this app, right, to have storage support, have UI support. Okay. Now we could do one more thing to, you know how under storage, right, I created the storage layer for the UI. We could say this is the
Yes.
UI layer, and then this just could be our, right, this is our UI implementations, right? Just to sort of keep with this theme here. So I could say this is our TUI instead, right? I'm going to call it a TUI.
TUI for
Terminal UI,
terminal.
right?
Terminal. Yeah. Okay.
And this will be our terminal UI implementation, right? And I don't have to do much more than that. Just to show that, and what I'm trying to show with the project structure now is that you could have, we could implement different UIs if somebody wanted to now, right?
Got it. Okay.
UI,
The T.
TUI. So you've got different storage, you've got different UI that you can use. We have a terminal UI implementation that we're using.
Got it.
Maybe create a graphical UI using Whales, or, oh God, I can't remember the other one. But we can now implement these different sort of UIs. If somebody wanted to implement a graphical UI for the Mac, they can do that. I just can't remember their, hold on. And this is what I've been trying to set up, right? So you got Whales, the Whales project. This lets you build, in our case, native apps, right? You also have Fine, which I've played with before. There it is. This also lets you write graphical apps, right? Data Star. Let's look that up. Data Star. Data Star, there it is, right? This, now you can build a Data Star sort of UI. So the work that we just did today, at least so far, I'm gonna make sure everything still works, now allows somebody to create a package that implements Data Star or Rails or Fine.
And that would
then
just be another
package.
Package. Okay.
There would be another package
In
under this. And then
under
you would,
UI. Yep.
yeah, under UI. And then here you would construct your datastar.new to do that, right?
Got it.
See what I'm saying? And then there's your send. Again, there's no, everything just works, right? With the right text there. App UI, right text, app UI, yeah. And that would then execute the right text that you'd have to implement to do all that. So do you see what we've been able to do now? We're now allowing anybody that's watching this to change out the storage, change out the UI components, and then,
Very cool.
right, the app basically is the app, but
And that's because we've decoupled it enough where we can we're a little more flexible now.
yeah, we've reversed the relationship. Instead of app importing storage and app importing UI, it's the other way around, right? We construct.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
we sort of pass those things into app in a decoupled way. And that allowed us to define the app user type here because with this decoupling, storage can import app. Storage, a UI can import app and leverage its type system, which is what I want. The app is the core thing. The app is the thing that never changes. Everything else around it is behavior. But you got to get to that sort of thing. So this now makes me feel really good that we've accomplished it. Because this type now exists here. And everything is supporting it. This is what you need in order to support this plus, right? So we're basically saying you need this, but now let's go back for a second. I want to look at one more thing here, right? Because if I come here, let's go back. If I look at app, I'm saying essentially, what do I need from storage to make this work? What do I need from UI to make this work, right? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but then when we come to main, we also sort of have here what else you need to make it work, right? That the UI needs more than just these two things. It also needs these handlers set, right?
Got it. Okay.
I want to come back to this for a second. We had no choice but to do that because there's this relationship that comes back from app. But now I'm starting to feel like now I'm starting to feel like maybe that was a mistake. Oh, but the UI needs it. No, the UI needs it. That's a UI implementation detail that somebody else may not need. Okay, no, we're going to keep it. Right? So if you're implementing data star, right? I've given you a blueprint that you'll probably need this behavior. So, right? So when it comes to an actual implementation of a TUI, the app layer says, I don't need anything but this. But in our particular case, our implementation needed this.
Got it.
What it
Okay.
is, right? Like it is what it is. We needed this to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way to sort of represent that in the app layer because this is UI specific sort of behavior that's needed. Now, these are two sets of behaviors that are needed, right?
Yes.
Now, what if, I just want to play with this, right? What if, I just want to play with this for a second. Does it make sense to move off of this just for fun for a second? If I said, let's define an interface now at the UI level, right, called handlers. So now when I look at this, I say, oh, okay, so the UI in this case needs two acts of behavior, needs a send handler, needs a query context handler, right?
Yep.
And maybe handler is redundant there, but so what that would then mean is we'd have handlers here. But the problem with this is now I'm asking for a single implementation of a concrete type that exhibits these two acts of behavior. Okay? So to pull that off, we'd have to do one thing. To pull that off the way that I don't know if I like this, but let's just play it out again, okay? Let's just play it out.
Okay.
So I'm adding a method called query contact handler, which makes that
Yep.
DB call, right?
Yep.
And I don't think it needs to, well, let's keep it handler. Let's keep it handler for a second. So then, if I come in here, and say set handlers, and the handlers equals the handlers.
Handlers is misspelled.
And how do I spell handlers? Handlers like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Better. So now you're gonna say handlers dot
Dot send handler. Yep. With that.
right. So now what gets
Yep.
interesting here is I can just say set handlers. I should have been able to just pass app, because we're going to look at this again. The app should have the two behaviors that it needs, but it's saying that I can't pass it because it doesn't implement TUI handler. So let's take a look at this one more time. TUI handlers says I need a send handler function and a query contact handler function. So if I go back to app, I've got a query contact handler, don't I?
Yes.
And I have a function. Oh, okay. It now has
But
to
we don't
match.
have.
This has
Yes.
to match this now, right? I call
Yep.
it send handler now. So these are the two handler functions. See, now it satisfies the interface, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So like these are purely implementing, you know, those interfaces there. Send handler, query contact handler, which is super interesting because now on the UI side,
It's that only that one call there.
yeah, we say set handlers. Now,
Yep.
since we want to have this all come from the app, right? What if I said set app? I call this interface app. This is stuff we expect to get from the app, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't call it app here though. Because I called that TView application. So this, what can I call this variable? Let me do this first. Handlers, that's fine. What if I rename this? Right? Because that's an easy rename. Then I can call this app. Because now, right, setting the app. Because now this is, how much cleaner does that look, right?
Yeah, much better.
And so the UI says, I need you to give me an app, you know, app related functionality. And the two things that I need is the ability to send
And
and
query.
maybe, yeah, and maybe send isn't right. Send message maybe is better, right? I need the ability to send a message. So at the app layer now, we call this send message handler, and send message handler. So now we're saying, right, the UI says, okay, I need two behaviors from the main app: the ability to send a message and the ability to query a contact, right? I need these two things. And that means that this app has to do that, but it already does it, doesn't it? You see, like it's already implemented for you. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
So if you were going to build a data star UI now,
Mm-hmm.
right, you already know that this is going to be available to you. And you would just have to
Do the set.
Yeah. The biggest bummer for me at this point is there's no way to get away from this, right? There's just no way.
Yeah, the setup.
You have a
We
chicken
have
and the
to.
egg problem here. There's just no way
Yep.
around it. But this happens to me all the time with these client apps and things like that. You know, I need a little bit behavior from you to make this work. All right, let me push this code out. I think we accomplished, at least I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with the decoupling. All right, so we finally decoupled the front end code, right? And what time is it? Oh, we got like what, 20 more minutes? Perfect. Did you just go away, Kevin? Oh, I can't hear you anymore, dude. You went mute.
I don't know why my mic muted. It's been doing that today.
We've got like 20 more minutes, right? So pull that
Yep.
down, and now you'll see that so now I'm wondering, well, right? So let's just look at so I said front ends, and this was our client. And then we just built this client where we could swap out storage and we could swap out UI, right? From
Yeah.
here. And this is all
Storage
sort of
UI. Yep.
Go related. I mean, I could rename this client to say, right, Go, because this is all sort of Go related stuff, right? So this is our sort of Go front end, as opposed to we start doing a JavaScript front end. But I'll just leave that there for now. But anybody that's watching that wants to play with different storage mechanics, or like say data star, a new UI mechanic, now they can just focus on that new UI, right? And everything will just work. That's where we're at. We're no longer, you know, super duper coupled. But I hope you, Kevin, and everybody watching saw how we got there with the refactoring and asking the questions and not liking what we had, and then realizing, I think the biggest moment for me was this.
Yes, that made the big difference.
For me. You want to see Zarf folders.
Mohammed's asking. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to redo your Zarf folder. So essentially now it's Zarf, client, and then two folders, DB and ID. And then under DB, you have your messages. And we didn't really change that out at all there. So we did a bunch of that work.
Same structure.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
The only thing we changed was now it's my_account.
Yeah, this is now called My Account. Yeah, good call on that one. My Account. Changed all that. Okay, so we've got 20 minutes. Let's see if we can do the non-stuff now that we're sort of where I want it to be, right, in terms of this sort of structure here. I'm glad we did this work.
Yep.
Right? I'm glad that I think this was a nice sort of exercise of refactoring going there.
It's very cool. I might try out that data star and see if I can get something
Yeah, all you
in
gotta
the
do is add a
UI
new
there.
UI package, right? And then you'll be
Hmm.
done, which is kind of cool. And then all you have to do is essentially replace that. You know.
Very cool.
Okay, so our goal when we started,
We should look at the notes and
I think I remember now. We want to add two fields to this. So it's like
yes,
my nonce and your,
and your
well,
nonce.
I
Yeah.
don't know what to call it because I need the nonce that we're expecting from the contact and your last nonce. So do we say my last nonce, their last nonce?
Mm,
I don't know. So instead of getting paralyzed, right? Um,
maybe contact nonce and
so
account
we're going to be
nonce.
playing with this to start with, right? The data file user. I know,
Yeah.
but it's always so hard to like everything that we've done so far though has been my when you read that file, right? When you read this file now, we know that it's my ID, their ID sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to even make it clear, you have like my last nonce and I mean, we could just say last nonce. Just keep it. What do you think?
For me, I think last nonce is okay.
Yeah, for that contact, because that record's about that contact. But you also need to know
Mm-hmm.
what your last nonce was, my last nonce was, because you need that to send another message. You need both. We need the nonce,
Mm.
last nonce to check that the message is in
Got it.
line,
Okay. My
right?
last nonce.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
need both of
Okay.
these. There's no way around that. Um, but we had a function that flush message to disk, read message from disk, flush to disk. So this is what writes, appends. Oh no, that's the messages though. Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna need some more support now. Because before, when somebody new came in, we just,
If we get
how did
there,
we,
uh,
how did we add a name to that, by the way? Maybe we need to look at some more code here. So let's go to the app layer for a second.
app. Yeah.
So here, you read a message,
Read
it's
message.
incoming. We
Query
query.
them. If they're not there, we insert them.
Oh, that's what I need right there. Insert contact. So storage. Oh, that's up at this level, isn't it? I was looking at
DB
the,
file. Okay.
yeah. So what we, ah. So what we might also need here at a user level then is ID name. Let me bring this in. ID name, right? We're gonna have that information. Okay, so we said that you need to implement an insert contact, right? We're gonna have to add some more behavior to
Mm-hmm.
update the contact, by the way. So
Got it.
insert contact is easy because those other two are gonna be 0, and that's fine.
And the nonces start at 0. They
Yeah,
start at 0, not at 1.
yeah,
Okay.
they can start at 0. Just has to be unique, right? Used once.
Got it.
So
Okay.
But we want to keep it, it will start at 0 here, but we also want to track the number of messages. So when, so when you send your
So it might be
first
easier.
message, it should be 1.
It should be 1 then, so we can count
Yeah, but
properly.
yours should be, okay, here's the question. Do you read it and then increment it on your first message? I would say yes. So when I'm sending it, I'd
Mm-hmm.
see what the last nonce was and I'd increment it. It's no, last nonce is good because when a new message comes in, I could look at that, increment it by 1, it should match, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Oh, he's saying that the client is panicking and I didn't try it. So maybe we should try it before we do this. Let me discard these changes. I know what I want to do, so. All right. What does it make? Run.
Yep. For me, it did also.
Okay, let's, I should have ran it. What
I
is it?
got
Make run
a
cap. So the cap is blowing up?
no, make
No, the
run
cap's
dash
showing.
client.
All right, let's see.
I got an invalid memory address or
That's
nil
fair.
pointer.
So let's do it. TUI, go, line 56. Let's start there. So it looks like this is getting called almost immediately. Let's see. Main.go line, we might have a chicken and the egg problem I didn't think we'd have. Yes. So look at what's
37.
happening.
Yep.
So when that got called, that immediately called this code here. And
But the UI,
we were using it to load the messages here. So
do we have to move that set
well,
up?
the question is, do we even need this code here? Because what
Oh
are we
no,
doing here, right? Oh, it's telling us what the ID was. And we're getting this ID. Oh, I need the user information. So it looks like what's happening, I wonder when the event is actually getting fired. Do you think it's getting fired here? Oh, yeah, look. It's getting fired there. Okay. So we've got a chicken and the egg problem here because the moment we start adding items to the list, this is getting called. This function is also called when the first item is added. See?
Got it.
So I wonder if we can do this and get out of this problem here. If it's nil, don't do anything, right? And I don't know if that will cause any pain. No, it worked fine, didn't it? So
UI app.
see, this function is also called when the first item is added or set current item is called. And so I don't care about this code running till the handler is set. So sort of like let it load it up, but who cares? You understand?
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
So then that should be fine. I don't have another contact, but at that point, main will have set the app, and that won't be nil anymore. Yeah. All right, let me push this.
Hmm.
All right, you got it. So now just run it anyway. And now there is a problem though. I don't see your messages. So I'm not seeing your
Ooh,
messages.
yeah.
So that's bad because this code is supposed to do that. So that's not going to work, right? Because I'm not seeing your messages. Now,
Hmm.
maybe though, maybe I can fudge it by doing this. Actually, we can fudge it by doing this. Watch. We just call set current item here. Watch. What is that? The list box? How do you get to set current
No.
item? No, it will be there. It's the list. It's going to be list. UI list set current item 0. Watch. How about 1? Weird. All right, hold on. Set current item sets the currently selected item by its index, starting at 0 for the first item. If a negative index of items are referred to as back, calling this function triggers a changed event in the selection. So that should have called, right?
Yeah.
So why don't I do this for a second? Hi, Bill. I have a feeling it's not getting called. Yeah. Let's see. Hi, Bill 1. Hi, Bill 2.
Bill 2.
Hi, Bill 1.
Hi, Bill 1. Okay, so
I know, but what's weird to me is I didn't see it twice, right?
no.
So what that tells me is this did not cause a change event. C3. But it didn't cause a change event because my guess is it didn't change. So, if I could trigger a change event here, then we'd be set. Unless I just call what if I do this? What if I just call it myself? IDX name ID shortcut, right? Just as an example. 0 Kevin bop bop bop. What if I just called it myself? Oh, maybe I can't call it myself. Set change function. That's really a bummer, bro. Okay, no big deal. We'll do it this way instead. I essentially, oh man, that sucks. It really sucks, bro, that they're not triggering an event there. That would solve all my problems. You know?
Yeah.
It would solve all my problems. Yeah. It would solve all my problems. The problem now is if I, right, there's nothing in there to set actually, because it doesn't get set until we execute. When does the list get set here? Here. No.
But that print line wasn't executing under the if UI.app is nil. Like it never reached that point.
But this is when everything's added to the list, right here.
For our
And
user, that's when your contacts.
that's the first time it gets added. And so the problem, unfortunately, is it's not letting me reset the current item, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, stop trying to help me. If it would allow me to like, I can't clear it. If it would allow me to like unset it, you know, it would be nice, but it doesn't. And it's gonna make me do something I don't want to do. It's not triggering this thing to run. Fudge. Fudge. I don't want to store the contacts because that's just silly. I could load the contacts. What a bummer, man. Sets the function, which is called when the user navigates. This function receives the item's index. It's also called when the first item is added, or set current item is called, which is not true. Because I'm calling you and you're not doing anything. If index is greater than or equal to the number of items, L current item. If index doesn't equal the current item and L change does not equal nil, that must be the handler. I don't think this code is executing. If index doesn't equal current item, this is why you would think negative would work, but now negative is always 0. So interesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what if I did this? This is specific to the shit that we're doing, but what if I did this? I don't want to make this. Here. So let's say I did that. I added a placeholder, right? This is
Okay.
now item 0, isn't it?
Yes. Because 48. Okay.
Okay. Still didn't call it, unfortunately. Did clear the placeholder, but we still, okay. So there's just no way around this. This initial work here
Mm-hmm.
has to be done down there for this, for the way we've done it. There's no way to trigger this. There's just no way to trigger this. Oh, you see, I just removed it all anyway. That wasn't gonna work. It's almost like what I need to do. Can I get the first item? Get current item. Right, index, right? How do I get the information though?
Get
Item selected, get item text. Main secondary, right? Okay, watch this. I could do this. This gives me the main and secondary, doesn't it?
yes.
Remove an item. But now I don't know what the shortcut needs to be without knowing. All because I don't want to change the API, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know this. The current item actually gets 0. Remove 0. Now here's my problem. I'm going to remove 0 and add it back in, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 0. So I need to know how many items are in this list. Get item count. Get item count, right? All right, this might work. So I get the first item, I remove it.
Yep.
Now, ideally, the best thing to do, I'm assuming it starts at 0, right? Is get the item count minus 1, right? So
Okay.
get that, remove the last one. Maybe that will work. I just get the last one, right? Get the item, remove it, and add it back. I mean, that's gotta cause you to go,
There it is.
yeah. That caused the trigger. We gotta see what happens when you got multiple people. But,
Interesting.
so, get the, you need to get the changed function to execute. Change function to execute. So remove the last item and add it back. Hack, bro.
Hacking right there.
I know, but I just didn't want to destroy the API we had. Like, this is really
Yeah.
nice, you know? And I'm going to now to destroy the API because of some flaw in the package that I'm using that doesn't help people that are using Datastar and some other stuff.
No.
So, no. So it would be really the wrong thing to do. Fixing start auto bugs. All right. So now everybody should be able to run again. Yeah. All right. And somebody using Datastar, let's say, isn't going to have these same issues, right?
No. They would have
No, not necessarily.
something different going on.
So let's try a full test then, I guess. Let's see. Hey, Kevin, are you? What else did we break? You there? You
I got that.
Hey, what's broke? And if I go and look at chat, Zarf, client, DB messages, it's all in there. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, somebody just sent me a message.
Oh.
Mohammed. I had the star. Hey, thanks for the help. Boom.
Perfect.
And now I see it there. That's working. We know all that other stuff we did is working. So now we've run out of time. So I think that we're
ready for nonce next time.
Yeah, we're ready for nonce. We're ready for the nonsense. Okay. Let's just see where we are here. So I think we're finally ready for this stuff here.
Yes.
We've spent 2 days sort of cleaning up the work we did on the front end, but we now have unique packages that are decoupled, other than app, because app is the app. But we do now have the ability to implement a new UI or implement a new storage mechanic, and the app can use that. We did that through some nice refactoring and some stepping through refactoring and defining what we needed from storage and the UI, and then this sort of defines what the UI needs from app, right? So if we go to app, we can see what we need from storage. We can see what we need from UI. If we go to UI, now we can see what we need from app. And we extended some of this functionality out of app at the bottom there, even though it's just a wrapper. It just gives it a cleaner sort of implementation there. So basically the UI also doesn't know anything about data storage. The app does in terms of behavior, but it just wraps that behavior that we needed.
Nice.
And so now we're able to send messages. It's working. We've got storage. We've got that. And people are able to have a one-on-one conversation. I don't know, after Mohammed, he didn't reply to me, so maybe my message was bad, dude. But again, okay. So let me shut all this down. Oh, I just shut that down. That's good. Let me switch us back to this view. All right, I mean, it was a fast 2 hours, but I'm really happy we did that because it was bothering me. And you're seeing how I started out with functions, but moved back over to the interfaces. Tried to keep everything app-centric, even that user type was app-centric. All that. He's telling me what might be the problem, Mohammed, is let me just look at this real quick again. Double check. We moved a bunch of things around in that last class. So at the end of the day, you
Oh,
can
he
always
got it.
start over. You got it? Oh, it's all good. Okay.
Yeah, he said it's all good.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I know we broke it, but hey, this is beta software. So. All right, so we have a really good refactoring now. We've got some nice decoupling. We could implement different storage layers now. We can implement different UIs, Go UIs, right? We had to do that
Yep.
little hack, chicken and the egg problem there, but that is fine. So when we get back on Thursday, we're doing nonce work. That's it. We're done. We're going to add the my last nonce and last nonce. We're going to do that nonce checking, and we're going to make sure that nobody can ever really hack you now, because you have to always send a message on the next nonce, and if it's not the next nonce, we throw it out. But that's client level checking. It's not cap level checking, right? Which is fine. So the cap is
Gotcha.
checking signature validations, and then the client is checking nonce level validations. And I think that's fine. And then some harder work comes in with the private streams and encryption and stuff. So, all right, that's it. So I'm going to hit the finish
All
button.
right.
Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see everybody again on
Thursday.